how did I start in the music industry? I always say that the music industry found me. Because as a little girl, I had an aunt who was Sammy Davis Jr.'s personal secretary. Her name was Margaret Ware, and she would fly into my home and come hang out with my mom, and she was fabulous, and it was hair, and it was glasses, and it was capes, and it was furs, and it was gold, and it was shiny, and I said, whatever that is, I'm trying to do that. Whatever that is, I want to do that. And so, you know, I grew up in my life knowing that I was never going to really work a 9 to 5. And I was always, I wanted to meet new people and I wanted to travel. So, you know, I went away to school, Wichita, Kansas, Wichita State University. There was a group called Club Nouveau, right? Yeah. So in this group was a guy named Grady Prater. And so Grady Prater is known as Samuel, who was the lead singer of Club Nouveau. And Samuel and I went to high school together, right? So I look up, I see Samuel on the screen, I'm in college, I'm dancing, you know, listening to Cameo, just like Candy. I see Samuel, and I said, oh my God, he blew up, he made it, he's the man. Next thing I know, they come through Club International in Wichita, Kansas, on a promotional tour. There was no, like, real security in Kansas. There was no, like, you could walk backstage. It was not common. And so when they came through, I had an opportunity to go backstage and say, Sam, what's up, how you been? But it wasn't Sam, it was Grady. Grady, what's up, how you been? And he introduced me to Jay King. And Jay King was a long-distance member of my family because where I live in Vallejo, my mom married a Brumfield. There was like 4,000 Brumfields in the city of Vallejo. He was a cousin of a Brumfield. We connected. I ended up going to intern for them in the summer. I was a girl Friday. I did whatever needed to be done. So, you know, that's where I got my start in the music business, working with, you know, King J Records, Jay King. From there, I ended up working for a company called West Coast Record Distributors, which was in South Central Los Angeles on 54th and Western. I worked with LA Dream Team, JJ Fad, Rodney Ojo Cooley, Egyptian Lover, right? And I was the accounts payable like Girl Friday there too. I did whatever I had to do. And so if you see Straight Outta Compton, the dude that's Alonzo in the movie, and he's telling Dre like, what you got on? You need to go out here and put this outfit on and get back out here and do this music that I told you to do. I work with Lonzo. So it was like, you know, it was an amazing experience. And then from there, I said, okay, I feel like I'm in the music business, but sort of on the outside in the music business. But what I learned there, WCRD was the last major, at this time, record company that manufactured and distributed their own product, right? So that means that Egyptian Lover was the artist, he was the marketing, he was the manager, he was the tour manager, he was the art department, he was everything. And he sold his records directly to, you know, the retailer, wholesale price. So that means they were making a killing. So if they sold 100,000 records, it was like they sold 10 billion records. So it was huge at the time. But I still kind of felt on the outside. So I sent my resume out. I sent 2 out. I said, okay, I'm going to be creative. I want to do A&R. And then I sent out a resume for administration, right? I got 5 job offers for administration, right? I could go to EMI, I could go to Sony, I could go to a couple of different places. So I ended up at EMI Music Publishing, working up under Jody Gerson and working up under Pat Lucas, who were phenomenal women in this business. And so I started as coordinator of creative services there, worked my way up, and I learned about music publishing. I learned the business of music publishing. I learned what performing rights were. I learned what mechanical rights were. I learned what publishing meant to our community. I learned like what an intellectual copyright is. I learned contract administration, which was amazing. So I love music publishing. So from there, I went over to Chrysalis Music, was offered an opportunity, and I became the head of urban music for Chrysalis. And then I went to Universal, and that's where I signed Kipper Jones. Kipper Jones was one of the first writers that I signed. So if you guys are in the room, and you want to know about lyric and melody, let me tell you something. Kipper right here changed the sound of music. I remember when I got his demo, the first thing I did was come back to Atlanta because my girls lived here. Wendy lived here. This is my best friend from high school. We were cheering.
Wave best friend, go best friend.
So as soon as I received Kipper's demo, I brought it to Atlanta. We put it in the car and we bumped all around Atlanta to I wanna be down.
Going through.
So we listened to that record and it gave me goosebumps. It changed this. When I listened to it, it didn't sound like anything. And I said, whoever that is, whatever that is, we need that. I signed Kipper Jones to the company. And when I tell you, he changed my career. He changed my career because Brandy blew up huge. It was amazing. And Kipper afforded me the opportunity to work with Montel Jordan, to work with Roy Ayers, to work with like James DeBarge, to work with like Domino, to work with like some amazing writers for the time. And then from there, you know, shoot, we kind of blew up a little bit. Okay, so, and I feel right at home talking to you guys here, so I'm going to put on my music kind of side instead of my conservative politics kind of side.
Yes.
Right. So, with y'all being family and my music family, I went from there, from Chrysalis, and to come right here to Atlanta, because at Chrysalis, I heard an amazing demo by the group Outkast, right? And like when my cousin was here, she sent me the LaFace Christmas album that had Players Ball on it, right? And so when I heard it, I was like, okay, and a whole lot of samples in this, because right at that time we were listening to Wu-Tang, and I love Wu-Tang, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot of loop to loop to loop to loop to loop. There was no like real musicianship, not a lot of music, it was just loop to loop to loop. That's what hip-hop was at the time. But then these young boys came in, it was melodies, it was harmonies, it was dope beats, it was amazing lyrics, and I was like, what is this? And so, you know, I got in contact with them through a gentleman named Ian Burke. Right here. So Ian Burke said, I can put you in contact with them. I came down, met with them. I said, what do you need? They said, well, shoot, we don't know. I said, I want to sign you guys. I'm going to bring you out to LA. I want you to meet everybody. Back at Chrysalis, sign Outkast. Rest is history, signed Goody Mob, rest is history, right? And then LA was like, okay, when he wanted to start his music publishing company, he said, who did this already? Who's this girl? And it was me. It was me.
Hey, you just had to double check so you know it's real. Double check, double check.
It was me. And it was a phenomenal experience, because during that time, I met Sean Johnson, right? And Sean Johnson, like, Sean is my music muse. Like, I can sit on the phone with Sean and we can talk about music for 10 hours. I'm like, Sean, I gotta get off the phone, right? Because he has such a passion for music, and he has a love for this industry. He has a love for all of you, new artists, right? So if you have time tonight, spend time with Sean, because he will talk to you about this industry and this game. And he's doing big things. Raise your hand, Sean.
Sean is in the very back.
All right.
And so, you know, I came down here, LA said, Laronda, we signed these acts, out from up under my nose. I want to kind of do something similar to Music Row in Nashville. So I want to start a publishing company in Atlanta. And so we started Hitco Music, and I started Hitco Music out of my apartment. Like, really, I moved down here. So y'all got to know, like, LA put the 10 on the 2. He made it seem like I was coming down here, I was about to be fabulous and driving whips and life was going to be good. I get down here, it was no logo, no cards, no office, no writers, no anything. So we had to basically build it from scratch, you know. And so the first thing that I did was I brought in my girl Cordelia Dilla, who is working with me right now in the city of Atlanta. Yes, and Cordelia does production. She's a production manager for the city of Atlanta, and she moves all the movies around the streets. So I brought in Cordelia and Hitco. There was a kid that my cousin introduced me to named Shakir Stewart. Right? And I would talk to Shakir. Let me tell you, Shakir had a fantastic mouthpiece. He could sell you water. Like, you take this water.
Need that.
Buy this. And he had a passion for music. He was from the Bay Area. He went to Morehouse. He was a writer. He was like, look, Laronda, you know, because I know these streets out here. I know this city. I know Atlanta. I know everybody. Come on, come just ride with me. So I rode with Shakir. Shakir took me by noontime. We was over there off of Walker Street, Peter Street. Then let me tell you what he did for me, which made me say, okay, you got to come work with me. He took me to my first Frankie Beverly and Maze concert, right here in Atlanta at the Atlanta Civic Center, right? And so, which is going to be no more. Can you believe that? The Civic Center is going to be no more. And so I went to the Civic Center. I said, okay, this boy might know a little bit of something about something, right? And so gave Shakir the opportunity. And I'm sorry to be talking, but you asked me the story.
There's a backstory right here. The autobiography is dropping next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Shakir, I mean, and working with Shakir, we went out here, we built Hipco, right? So we signed Anthony Dent, we signed Ken Fambro, Raphael Brown. We spent so much money around the city of Atlanta, showing love, showing that, you know, we could be the major independent publisher of the Southeast. And what I love about Atlanta, we support our own. Right?
That's true.
Atlanta is the startup capital. If you got a dream, all you got to do is have a mouthpiece, talk to somebody. And that's the thing. You got to be able to say what you want to do. Because if you can say what you want to do, somebody can say, I can help you with that. Yeah. You can do that right here in the A without it being any drama. And so we signed, Beyonce, we signed, it was so many people. And it was just an amazing run here in Atlanta. And then, you know, I left. I went to run the Urban Creative Universal on the East Coast. And there I worked with Ja Rule, Ashanti, and, you know, Prince. I was a part of the team that had to go and fly and talk to Prince because he was like, if you want to sign me, I need somebody black to talk to. And so, you know what I'm saying? So they put me on a private plane. I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. You know? And so they put me on a private plane, went to go talk to Prince and listen to what his concerns were about the industry and why he didn't want to sing those songs anymore. And it was a rap and, you know, what he was and wasn't going to do. And then, you know, he said something really kind of off to me about Eminem. He said, I don't like what he's talking about, and this is because he had just changed his life. He became a Seventh-day Adventist, right? And I said, but really, he is where you were, and you keep having birthdays. You know, eventually he'll get to where you are, right? And so you gotta get a kid some slack, you know. And so it kind of came around. It was cool. Universal. Then I tried my hand into entrepreneurship. I did a company called Artist Exposure with my girl Regina Gaines from Detroit. By the way, if you're from the D, if you know anybody in the D, you need to go to her wine shop, which is right there on Woodward Ave in the D, in front of the stadium. So she just opened up her shop. So, you know, that was cool. Learning experience, entrepreneur. I kind of figured like, that's a lot, it's a little scary. You pay everybody else, you pay yourself last.
But now look, you're in position, you're back here in Atlanta, and you work with the mayor.
I'm back here in Atlanta. So then I went to work for Jamie Foxx, and then, you know, but in the meantime, I met Mayor Reed, right? I met Mayor Reed because he represented the Goody Mom, right? And so that's how we formed our friendship. And so what he knew was that I had the ability to build, and that I was a builder, right? And then I could people build, I could build companies, you know, I could build departments. And so he gave me the opportunity to come here to the city of Atlanta and build the first music, film, digital, entertainment office for the city of Atlanta.
That's a good place to stop right there. And that leads into my next question that I was getting ready to ask you is, you're the director of entertainment and film for the mayor's office. Can you share with us what that entails? Because somebody here, they're like, oh, she's the plug. But tell us what the plug is responsible for.
Okay, so you guys know with the Georgia Entertainment Investment Act that passed, which is the tax incentive, right? So that passed in 2005, updated 2008. Lots of movies coming into the city, right? So with all those movies coming into the city, that meant a lot of human capital was spent down at City Hall trying to process all those requests. So Mayor Reed wanted to open up an office that became a one-stop shop for those productions to come into the city with ease of filming, right? So I came down here. I created the ordinance with the city attorneys. The office opened up in July 2013, and since then, so it's been amazing because we've moved over 2,000 locations for films without major incident or complaint. Our industry, the economic impact for the state is at $6 billion. Right? Wow! The direct spend for the city of Atlanta is $1.1 billion, right? So that's huge for our city. We've opened up over 100, well, for the proper city of Atlanta, about 80 infrastructure businesses around film and entertainment, and it's just an amazing, amazing time. So now, being from music, right? I would come out to the community like this, but folks would say, well, Laronda, film is popping, but what's going on with music, right? And so we wanted to reflect what was going on with the state office, right? Lee Thomas and her team, which is phenomenal, by the way. They're responsible for all the locations and crafting the tax incentive and administrating it. So we wanted to reflect them. They had a music officer, they had a digital officer, so Atlanta did the same. So now we have our music officer, which is Joseph Nixon. We have our digital officer, which is Patty Miranda, right? Yes. And so the whole point is to be able to cross-pollinate all of these different industries. So you have the opportunity, again, just like this, put you all in the room, right? And let you be able to go for yourselves. Make the connection, get your foot in the door, meet new people. So we do that. We also started the first of its kind job training program in the city of Atlanta for entertainment, right? It's a partnership between my office, AWDA, IATSE, which is the local union, which is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, right? Local 479. If you are at least 18 years of age and you have a driver's license, you live in the city of Atlanta, you are unemployed or underemployed, and you have an interest in film, and you want to learn about it, you can register with the AWDA, right? And if you pass the screening process, which are the interviews in which, you know, I personally attend each and every one of them, then you will have the opportunity to be considered for entry-level positions on sets that are filming here in Atlanta. So thus far, we've placed 7 on Sleepy Hollow, 4 on The Walking Dead, 10 on Moesha, I keep saying Moesha, Zoe's Ever After. We place folks on Myers Family Christmas. So, you know, it's booming right now. And the AWDA will pay you for the first 17 weeks that you're on the set. So, which minimizes the risk for the production company. So we've taken out a lot of the risk for them. And the good news is, the conversation of today right now is diversity. And what they're learning about Atlanta is that we are probably the diverse capital, I'm going to say it, diverse capital of the nation in terms of entertainment. You get qualified individuals of all types of backgrounds here. So we handle the diversity issue, we handle the safety issue, and the sustainability issue for them here in the city.
Staying on that topic, you know, now seems like more than ever is the best time to be independent. What are the pros and cons of staying independent versus maybe going with a major label, maybe a film company?
Okay, so to me, music is cyclical. So that means it's like, you know, it just goes around in a circle. So things, you know, history kind of repeats itself. So right now we are back in the age of, you remember when there was like a gang of independent labels, and then came along Clive Davis at one point in time, and he bought up all the independent labels and signed them to the major label, right? This is kind of similar to, we're in a similar stage right now. But the beauty of it is you can get directly to your audience, right? You don't need validation from the record labels or anybody else to get directly to your consumer. So there's no reason for you, because as a music publisher, one thing I used to say, this is a song for everybody. Now I might not get it, but somebody might get it. Guess what? But guess what now? Somebody can get it. So now is the perfect time for you to build up your following, right? And understand how to monetize that. Don't run out and say, I have 100,000 YouTube followers. Okay, so what are you doing with those YouTube followers? What do you monetize that? What are you doing a call to action? Like tonight, I saw some folks up here on the stage, right? To me, there should have been, like, somebody should have given out cards, right? To ascertain the email addresses of each one of you guys in the audience, right? Because now that's capital, that's social capital. That means I can contact you and tell you I'm gonna be at the next place. And if I can drive you from here to over there, that's a call to action. That means money. So the Georgia Music Partnership helps lobby for you to get incentives to attract business to come here to the city of Atlanta, to give you exposure to change your stars, and give you the opportunity to work more with these corporations, to give you the opportunity to know more of what's going on in your city, like a collective group going down to South by Southwest and whatever it is. Georgia Music Partnership, you guys should all be members of. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? How many people know that this is the Year of Music 2016 for the state of Georgia? Okay, disconnect. Right. Okay, so again, please go to georgia.org and understand what's going on for the Year of Music, because everything you do for the love of your state and for the love of your city, right? You should hashtag Year of Music, Georgia Year of Music 2016. Music has made $3 billion. In 2011, the economic impact was $3 billion. But guess what? Now, you guys should be looking at how to connect with corporations, how to develop music incubators. Okay, so do we need a music row in the city of Atlanta?
Yes.
Do we need a destination point for people to come and know that? Do we need a place where we got music notes and we know that Luda was hot? They're immortalized, and we know that Usher's hot, immortalized. What are we doing about that? Your voices count. Your letters count. Everything that you do from a business perspective counts. If you guys are companies here, if you have music companies here, right, and you employ people, that means you are job creators. That means you have the opportunity to receive tax incentives from the state and from the city of Atlanta. Are you aware of these things? Okay, so we got lots to talk about, lots to go forward.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, this is a rolling out spotlight panel. Now that we've got to stand to your feet, we're looking for a standing ovation. We learned a lot tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Laronda Sutton.
Ladies and gentlemen, I said it earlier, you have to be inspired. Find your inspiration. Find that thing that makes you look at this thing and what it really is. Your dream, but it could be your reality if you know how to find that one thing to get you over that hump. When you're down and you feel like you want to give up, when you feel like you're running out of money, when things are not as good for you, that's when you're really in the music business. Not when you're making money and things is good. When you broke and nothing is working and everything is going wrong and you say, I'm still in the fight, then you in the music business. And then, so a lot of you who be walking around here saying, this is hard. Man, I'm trying to get paid. Well, you shouldn't be trying to get paid. You should be putting love into your craft, and your craft is going to put love back into you. You know what I'm saying? They're getting paid. And I'm going to tell y'all, I got a little riddle that goes with that. If you got $1 in your pocket, name the last 5 people to touch that dollar before you. And I bet you can't. And then I'm going to tell you something else. I bet when you touch that dollar, you didn't use hand sanitizer, you don't know who touched that dollar before you. Right? So I'm saying this to make a point. Don't treat yourself or anybody like that dollar. Treat them with respect, treat them with love, and they're going to give it back to you.
All the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we at WSAATL, we love Laronda Sutton, and we want to thank you and welcome you with the Icon Award for Laronda Sutton.